Hey folks, it's that Tassie Wargamer again with John and Darren. Today we're back to Sharp Practice, one of our favourite rule sets, and we are in the Ohio Valley as we fight the French Indian Wars. We're playing one of the scenarios. We've rolled for everything. We set the table up, then we roll to see who's doing what. It's worked out John is going to be sweeping the table. We've put a number of tokens blind so we don't know where. We don't know what's on those tokens. 5 of them, 6 of them are just going to be basically blank tokens. 2 of them are going to have little flags, which indicates that's what John's trying to capture. He doesn't know, so he's going to have to slowly go through and have a look at all these tokens. Once he's found them, he has to do a task in order to capture the supplies. I am going to be delayed coming onto the table. I'm using the delay tactic in that scenario, which basically every time my leader card comes out, I have to roll 2d6. Once I cumulatively get to 14, I can begin to deploy. It's going to give John a head start into trying to find those supplies. And that's it. So we're going for 65 point armies, reasonably small. Obviously, if you haven't played North America before, the trick is to have as many trees as possible. So each of these bases indicates a whole wooded area, and then we put the bases on here, which we can lift off. All of the hills within the base of the hill, they are fully treed. It's a forest for the whole hill base. The cliffs, if you want to climb up the cliff, you're going to need to take a whole turn to get up. If you're moving up one of the gentle slopes, we take off the lowest. That slope there, if you want to go up that slope, that's drop the highest. Other than that, everything moving through woodlands is the same. We've got a narrow bridge there. We've got a ford there. They can both be crossed unimpeded, so they can be probably not run across, but they can be. So you can't run across those, but they can be walked across. And we'll fill you in as it goes. We've just finished, I think the third Tiffin card came out. Well, we're using, it's Tempest Fugit, but I think I've said before that we're still using the Infamy cards, but that was Tiffin. John's got a lot of his force over, I think it's all of his force out on the table. His Indians are going for a bit of a flank, obviously, to try to take the high ground over here. John's taken 2 groups of regulars, which, with the built-up area, I'm not sure if that'll play in his favour or not. Well, time will tell. And he's got his regular skirmishers moving out over here as well. I had to roll 14 every time my level 1 card came out. It came out. I've evented a few times. I've now managed to roll enough. I then used 4 blue flags to get my cour de bois, who are light infantry with rifles, onto the table. Now, this has been interesting. We had discussion. We're going by the rules. This is 1756, say. We weren't actually sure whether there were rifles around then. John's looked on the net and it indicates that there were rifles around then. Obviously, the Manet ball was invented until I think 1800 and something. Could be wrong. But we're playing by the rules. I think even if they weren't rifles around then, I think it's just Lardy Rich's way of giving these guys an advantage. One of the only units in the rule set of Sharp Practice which says you can only take 1 unit of these guys, which shows that they can be pretty tough. So I need to use them wisely. I got them onto the table early because the rifles are going to hopefully be able to do a little bit of damage on his regulars if I can catch them out of line. The building here, it's JR Miniatures. It's a Civil War building. It's taken me a time to get this to the table. I bought it quite a few years ago. It's resin, the roof doesn't remove. I tried painting it historically accurate, and in reality, I can't remember the name of the farmhouse now. Some of you might put something in the comments. Historically, it's made of bluestone with white grout, and every time I tried painting it to look like that, it looked like a toy building. So I've gone for brown stone with black mortar. Yeah, it's a good looking building. I'm still not sure whether I'll finish painting it yet. Who knows, I might keep going. All right, we've had plenty of turns, haven't been keeping track because it's not that important with Sharp Practice. Bit of action happening. My Indians crossed the river to deal with John's Indians that were crossing the river up here. They got into position a little bit quicker. I brought over my Milice Canadienne across the bridge. I managed to get them bonus activation. They got to here. One unit was a little bit further back. John put some fire onto them. Doubled their shot because it was in the flank, so they've now retired to here. He then tried attacking or charging my group here. Being skirmishers, they could evade. Luckily evaded far enough. Actually, John still could do his 15-inch move. Over here, John has separated his formation because he realises he's going to actually have to start searching houses at some point. I'm getting a little bit of shock from my cour de bois with their rifles. The other thing I didn't say was there were villagers here, and John kindly said the villagers are on my side, so they're now retreated to the building over here, which I have no control over. They just automatically move when the bear moves. And they are in that building, and when their card comes up, they can now fire. Oh, I didn't mention the bear. The bear comes out on its own card. If you've seen our videos before, you may well have seen the bear. He has got 6 hits. The son is playing horrible games. He takes 6 hits. He does 6 damage.
Yep.
He's got his own card, and the villagers are on the same card. And we have got a dice and a direction dice. And whenever his card comes out, we roll for direction and movement. Obviously, he crossing the river, he will stop at the river, and then if it's the same direction, he'll exit the river the next turn. If it hits the target, he moves directly toward the closest unit. My Indians are in place here. John's ones are over there. Great game so far. Not a lot's beaten. Haven't a lot of fired. It's been a little bit tactical, apart from a little bit of damage to my crew. It's a great game so far. We missed the North American War. It's wars, plenty of woods, plenty of places to hide. The game's still progressing. It's really in the balance. Fair bit of shock being dished out. We're losing. You can see John's Indians and my Indians. Oh, by the way, yeah, my Indians. Remember the bear? He'd crossed the river, and because he was within 4 inches, he immediately closed within fisticuffs. That's just part of the bear rules. He ended up killing 4 of my guys before I put enough hits on him to knock him out. I've managed to close up this unit, so they're back with their officer, who's slowly taking some shock off that front unit. John's forces, his 2 formations of regulars are here, slowly getting up the road. I've got my cour de bois with their rifles and my French Marines to hold them off, and he's sneaking around some of his irregular skirmishes around here as well. So it's a little bit tight. Everything's sort of closing on. John knows what he has to do, which is to search these buildings to look for what he's after. He hasn't found it yet. He's only searched 1 building. Hopefully I can do enough damage that he's not going to be able to do too much more.
Will, here's a video.
All right, that was the end of the game, folks. As usual, we've forgotten to sort of summarise it. John's putting away, mine are off the table. I think it was probably a draw. John suggested that I won. Basically, we ended up with a lot of troops right around here, John's regulars. I managed to knock off his officer here. His officer over here. He hadn't really achieved too many of the aims. But in the end, it was just a really fun game. A lot of close-knit. By having the buildings around, it really forced us to think about our tactical manoeuvring. Really good game. I'd suggest anyone watching this has probably already played Sharp Practice. If you're watching this and going, what is Sharp Practice, I'd suggest having a look at Two Fat Lardies and all their rule sets, and certainly get on board because it's an awesome game. Thanks for watching.